Siman Aleph, Seif Aleph. Hakol shaychtin lichatchila afilu nashim. The lashon of Maran is that Hakol, everyone, shaychtin lichatchila, they could do the Schieta lichatchila without any hesitation. Afilu nashim, even women are able to shecht lichatchila. Haga. Yesh omrim she'en lahaniach nashim l'shchot. There are those that express that we shouldn't allow women to do the maaseh shchita. Shekvar nogu shelo l'shchot. It's a very interesting. Yesh omrim, I mean, say it's the minority opinion that we shouldn't allow women to go shecht. Why? Shekvar nogu shelo l'shchot. It already became established as the minhag that they shouldn't shecht. V'chen minhag. It's if it's shekvar nogu, what's the language of v'chen minhag? If they already established that that's the minhag, so what is he coming and reiterating? V'chen minhag she'en nashim shochtot. It's we're going to delve into the application today of, is it permissible for women to shecht? The Machaber clearly states that women can't shecht, and the Ramah says that it's not the minhag. It already was established that it's not the minhag, right? And there are those that say that you shouldn't allow women to shecht, which means say there's a couple of tiers into what this definition is, right? So let's go back to the Rishonim. First of all, the Mishnah, the first Mishnah in Masechtas Chulin says, "Hakol shaychtin v'shchitasan kshera." So that's going to be the discussion, and in the concept of Hakol is included in it women. So in the Rishonim, we start off with Hilchos Eretz Yisrael, right? Tosfos brings Hilchos Eretz Yisrael in the beginning of the Masechtas Chulin, that says the psak shenoshim lo yishchetu, and the reason women shouldn't do shchita, the reason behind it is because daton kala, because their intellectual capacity is easily manipulated, or they can change their minds, and therefore there's a concern that maybe they'll become faint, and therefore in the process of doing the ma'aseh shchita, they see the blood and they go and they faint. And resulting in that, their shchita, the ma'aseh shchita, will be puzzle. So again, according to the Hilchos Eretz Yisrael, women should not shecht, and the reason they shouldn't shecht is because we're concerned that they're going to faint. Well, it's quite common that people can faint, and it's common that even a man can faint. But that is the opinion of Hilchos Eretz Yisrael. Tosfos argues in that and says that noshim can shecht, women can shecht lichatchila. Right? The Mishnah says Hakol shaychtin, including women. The Bet Yosef brings the Schieta of the Rambam, the Rashba, the Rosh, the Ran, Mordechai v'Hagoy Sashri, and the majority opinion. And now it's not just the regular majority; it's the vast majority opinion. Lichatchila, women can shecht. Now, there is other Rishonim that come in that have opinions that are slightly different, but you see clearly that the vast majority of the Rishonim, especially the Rambam, the Rosh, and the Rif. The Rif here doesn't express, other than he quotes the Mishnah, Kol Shechtim. Doesn't have a specific opinion. Pashtus, if you have the Rambam and the Rosh, that's how Maran Shulchan Aruch will paskin, and as a result of that, that's what he says. Hakol shaychtin lechatchila afilu nashim. It's not a discussion. Women can shecht. It's part and parcel of the process. Now, there's a Schieta in Rishonim called the Ogo. This says, even though the majority opinion is that women are kosher, he says, Mikol Mokum, nevertheless, Lo Ra'inu Shenohagod Lishchot. We never saw that women actually do the ma'aseh shchita. V'chein, and therefore, Ein Lahanichan Lishchot, and therefore they should not go on and do the ma'aseh shchita. Alright? Ki haminhag b'chlal halacha, and in the lashon of the Mara, and the Beis Yosef is haminhag mevatal halacha. If you look in the Tur, if you look into the Bet Yosef, and when he quotes the Ogul, he says clearly that minhag is mevatal halacha, which is a discussion. Ki haminhag mevatal halacha, minhag avotenu tarei. It's a real discussion. How is minhag mevatal halacha? that's not our discussion today. But here's a source that minig is mevatel halacha. What does that mean? If people are noig to eat treif, does that mean to say they can? So it's the minig. We were brought up in the south. We all ate shrimps. That's our minig. So therefore, minig is mevatel halacha. It can't mean that, all right? Because the halacha is you can't eat shrimp. But here maybe it's only on something positive, on a kumva say. Well, women have the possibility, but the discussion is going to be elaborated in that Lora Inu Raya or Lora Inu is a Raya. Shita Bet Yosef is that because we haven't seen something happen doesn't mean to say that it establishes it as a minhag. There are Rishonim that are coming and saying, Lora Inu is a raya that you don't do it. We've never seen it. I've never seen in my father's house this activity. All right, maybe your father never knew about it. So the Ogor establishes a very fascinating, this Lora Inu. What?
Is it a story card?
I don't know.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. So the das of the Ogo is, do we say Lora Inu Raya? Das of Ogo is Lora Inu Shenashim Shochto. So if we don't see it, we haven't seen it happen, it's a proof that women don't shech. The Bet Yosef says it can't be. Lora Inu is a Raya. Lora Inu, that they didn't do it, doesn't mean to say they cannot do it. Das a kolboy b'shem Ari. The kolboy says, Shenoshim shochtos la'atzman v'lo la'acherim, that women can shecht for themselves and not for others, which is a very complicated thing, expresses the Bet Yosef, because what's the difference? If they're good enough for themselves, why aren't they good enough for others? Right? Therefore, the Re comes in and gives an explanation to the intention of the kolboy. He says, the intention is not to aser on others, which is also a bit of a chiddush, that they don't need someone oversighting them. All right, the Lashon HaMishnah is Nashim Shoichtos Lechatchila. Lahalacha, we saw that Mechaber is that women can shecht, and according to the Ramah, women, it's interesting, the minhag. Now let's get into the Achronim. The Taz brings a raya to the Das of the Mechaber, and from the Mishnah in Zvachim Lamed Aleph, right, which includes that the klal is the isha sikshera afilu lechatchila, and he brings a raya from other places. The Ramah initiates with the Ogo Lora Inu is a raya. The Shach tries to fortify the position of the Ogo, but it's a bit complicated. The Pri Megadim says that there are two reasons why a lady shouldn't shecht. One is a concern of they're going to faint. The second one is that they're choshud on lifnei iver, which is also a very complicated concept, right? La halacha, he says they're not choshud on lifnei iver, but on the havamina, just the ladies involved in some dvar that requires responsibility, halachic responsibility, and as a general rule, we're concerned that they're choshud on lifnei iver. It's a complicated concept. Torah Chiyun. The Slimach Hadasha brings down a very fascinating political statement where if you're from a place that the minig is that women shecht, go ahead, women, keep on shechting. If you're from a place where the women don't shecht, where the minig is that women don't shecht, right? B'shat atchak, in other words, if it's shata b'di'eved, if you check the knife, it's also good. That's in the Simcha Chadash. The Pri Megadim says if you don't check the knife, it's also afilu b'di'eved. Now, in the Pri Megadim, he brings other shitas, El Yerabba, and he brings a couple of shitas that are discusses the nemonus of a isha in the application of his Chazik Isura. Let me explain what Chazik Isura means. And Chazik Isura means to say that there's definitely Isra. For example, an animal while it's alive, it's not kosher. You can't eat from it, Sever Min HaChai. It's only from the Maisa Schieta that you can come and now eat from it. So Isra is established upon it until it goes through a process that removes the Isra from it. So they have a classical rule. An Isha is not nemenes in an application where there's this Chazik Isura. Which is a complicated concept. It's not simple to understand, because we see clearly that by Nida an Isha is nemenes, but it's Chazik Isura, which is nemenes al atzmo. And this is referring to an Isra Deoraisa. So too is an Isha Benida. So it's challenging to understand. Chametz is a place where there's an Isra Deoraisa and it's Chazik Isura, and that's one of the applications where an Isha is not nemenes and it needs a tzarachiyah. In general, the understanding of what a lady is nemenes upon or not, classically we're under the opinion that Eid Echad is neman b'Isurim. Now, is she an Eid or not an Eid? That's the discussion of Hechad is Chazik Isura. Now, Lemaisa, when it comes to chametz, I think if we would rely on the husbands to clean up the houses, we probably, and to make the dishes, we'd have to come on to many b'di'eveds in order to establish that our houses are perfectly clean. Yes, we do the bedika. We just certify that what she did was perfect, and generally, we don't find anything but the 10 crumbs that we put out. So, to establish that a lady doesn't have an emenes, Hechad is Chazik Isura, it could be there was at different times, and therefore the Rabbanim had different stringencies. Continuing in the words of Maran, Va'avadim v'chol adam, the discussion is Avadim and Kol Adam, right? Are slaves permissible to shecht? Now, if we look in the Tur, when he defines the word slaves, he's referring to Avadim Mishuchrarim, slaves that were redeemed. And to that, the Bet Yosef has the question. Mishuchrarim is talking about a person that was mal v'taval. If once you release an eved from your ownership, and he becomes independent, he has to go through the process of full conversions. As a result, he's a regular Jew. And if he's a regular Jew, so then what's the chiddush? Therefore, the Maran writes Va'avadim, based upon the Bet Yosef. Avadim means to say just regular slaves, and Avadim are kosher. They're kosher for Schieta. Darkei Moshe brings the Lashon of the Rambam, Maimonides, and he says that Avadim shochtim lechatchila. Lashon of the Rambam is Avadim can shecht lechatchila. It's not a discussion, and there's no difference between whether they're still servants, slaves, or whether they're slaves that are released. Okay, that's what the Maran was also paskin in Shulchan Aruch. The Shach comes and tries to establish that the intention of Avadim Mishuchrarim is because we find throughout the course of the Shas that Avadim are generally people that don't have the best of attributes. They may have some issues of trust. Therefore, unless we know them specifically, and we know that they're proficient in the laws of Schieta and in how to do the process of Schieta, we're not to trust them. The opinion of the Taz is that Avadim Mishuchrarim does not have the same qualifications as a lady, and therefore, when it says Stam Avadim Sheba Mishnah, it's referring to Mishuchrarim because of the lack of qualification. Nekudas HaKesef goes back and to be chalik on the Taz. The Avadim af she'eno mishucharim heim ki Yisrael Gomor rak shechai b'mitzvahs ke'isha, and therefore they do have. The Nekudas HaKesef is the Shach, and the Shach again argues on the Taz that the status of an Eved is equivalent to the lady. Next discussion. person is an avel or a person is an elderly person. So the Gilyon Mashab brings from Rav Kloizner, Shezokin ben Shmonim, a person that's the Gil of 80 years old, is 80 years old, lo yishchot, and therefore also a person that is an avel should not shecht. An avel shouldn't shecht because that being embedded in his own personal pain, he won't have the proper focus to shecht properly. And the truth is, when it comes to an elderly person, the discussion is, does he have the strength? And he doesn't have to. Sometimes you'll find a person that's in his 90s and everything is working fine, and you have a person that's in his 50s and 60s and he doesn't have the physical capability. So it's really an assessment of the Rav Machshir at the time.